Howdy, all of you delicious people. Today I'm here to talk to you about season 2, episode 4 of The Masked Singer. Really tonight, the music kind of just seemed kind of out of place for all these singers. Except for maybe Thingamajig, because Thingamajig just loves doing power battles, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Um, I don't even like the butterfly sounded pretty good tonight. And but everybody else it just kind of like it seems like the songs that they chose just seem kind of like forced and out of place for them. It was just kind of, and I know they have to sing throughout this whole entire show, so if anything, like everything is gonna eventually seem out of place. I'm going to walk you guys through who ended up getting unmasked tonight. I'll actually legitimately show a photo of Skeleton, who ended up getting sadly unmasked tonight. We had Flamingo starting the show, then it was Leopard, Black Widow, then it was Skeleton, then it was Thingamajig, and then it was Butterfly. If anything, one thing I want to make adamantly clear on this show is for the most point, except for the exclusion of the pilot, I kind of did it as an afterthought. But once I actually legitimately see the show, I start putting these pictures together. I start putting these things together as I'm watching the show. I think in probably one of the other shows I watched it afterwards on Hulu because um I sleep during the day, and I sleep just basically freaking like the whole entire day, so I missed the show. I caught it back on Hulu and I watched it, and I recapped and like I put my 2 cents into the show. Um so I didn't get to watch it like over and over. Like the pilot I watched twice, what have you. But yeah. My thoughts, like that's probably why I like had second thoughts on the first episode, the pilot episode, much more so than anything else. Moving on. Of course, this order was the way people sang, and I'm probably not in order of how they sing. Gonna tell you my second guessing thoughts, or maybe my analysis on maybe some people, some of the judges that are just kind of like, when you have like Melissa McCarthy that is just kind of like going with whatever Robin Thicke says 80% of the time on the show. I'm just kind of like, really? Really? But like there has been times where she has differed from Robin Thicke. Maybe she, along with all the other judges, she's kind of like nodded and just like, yeah, I feel like this sounds like a good choice. There's sometimes where she goes off the cuff and does her own thing, but it seems like a lot of times she just agrees with Robin Thicke. But Robin Thicke does have a lot of good answers. He has picked a lot of just shots in the dark that actually do make a lot of sense. And sure enough, for Robin Thicke, yeah, um, he does well on the show. He does really well on the show to just weed people out. He must do it better than anybody else does. Maybe he should be a detective in a Second Life or something like that. Anyways, we are first off going to be talking about my second thoughts on most of these characters because they've already sang once before. And we're gonna get ultimately what I felt the skeleton was going into the end of the show. Because really, right before the skeleton got masked, I in my mind thought it might be so and so person. I had in the back of my mind thought it was this person like this whole entire time, but I was just kind of like, nah, I'm not sure. Like, it's like he's retired. I'm not sure. I don't know. And yeah, so let's go on to who I still might assume these people might be, or maybe some new choices that I might could possibly think that these characters are. Again, I could be way off, I could be wrong, or I could have been. Uh, I'm sure some people could assume that whoever does get unmasked, like I could just have easily just put their face and name on these pictures. Like I said, basically, I slapped a picture onto something like the last second before he got unmasked, and then sure enough, or this person got unmasked. The skeleton got unmasked because I was just like, maybe it's this person. Sounds good enough. Sounds logical enough. Yeah, sure. But it came down to the wire on this one. It came down to the wire if I got it wrong or right. Cause this show is freaking hard. So let's go. The skeleton. Originally um I had a shot in the dark guess of Garrett Morris. Of course, if you guys don't know, he was from Two Broke Girls, but he's had a laundry list of huge achievements in his life. He's got a lot of things um, to his resume, and I naturally assumed. He was even an SNL character um, in the early stages. The clues for tonight were in a movie there called Three Amigos, which of course, if you knew the movie with Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short called Three Amigos, then it was like, Martin Short. I kind of guessed that. But as you can see behind me, there was a kind of last ditch effort kind of guess. Because Martin Short is like Three Migos. I think I'm gonna lock, but I had second thoughts. I had a come to mass singer moment where I honestly also picked Paul Schaefer legitimately pick Paul Schaefer. Of course, if you guys don't know, Paul Schaefer is the kind of music behind what was the David Letterman show. Um, if anything, like I kind of just like, well, maybe he's retired. But in the back of my mind, even when the pilot was going on, I'm like, man, this guy sounds like the guy from the David Letterman show. I didn't watch the David Letterman show as much as I would sporadically watch it sometimes, but it was never my main focus because I was always a Conan guy, or I always really liked, uh, just like Conan or whoever came, yeah. I was a Conan guy. I liked Late Night with Conan O'Brien. So, like, I don't know. In the back of my mind, I was just like, well, maybe it's Paul Schaefer. Because, like, honestly, I never really knew Paul Schaefer's name. I just knew he was the background music guy for the David Letterman show. Um, and yeah, I just kind of like had a last second guess because the judges were mentioning that it could be like Paul Schaefer, and I was just kind of like, yeah, that's what my thought was like going at this, but I didn't know Paul Schaefer's name. I never Googled him. I never had like a thought process in my mind because really I was just narrowing it down to Martin Short. And plus, like the Three Amigos thing was just kind of like a big baffling thing. But when the judges like mentioned Paul Schaefer, I was just well, it's either between Paul Schaefer or Martin Short, but Paul sounds like it came down to the wire on this one. Like as the skeleton was becoming unmasked, or before he legitimately like got unmasked, I was like, maybe it is Paul Schaefer. Maybe it is. Like I remember watching him every once in a while on the David Letterman show, and but I was still thinking like also it might be Martin Short. So yeah, those were my three guesses for the skeleton. If anything, Morris kind of went away because I was just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that, like, if anything, I was thinking of, like, an SNL alum, and, like, if anything, kind of like, I remember him from Two Broke Girls, and I was like, maybe. Maybe, but then I was like, no. Like, I think it's gotta be Martin Short or somebody else. And then I was just like, in the back of my mind, like, this guy also sounds like kind of like in the old, like I was thinking like, man, like I know this from somewhere, like I know this sound somewhere, but like it kind of just reminded me of like something from, yeah, it just kind of was bizarre. So I had to come to Mass Singer moment trying to figure out who this character was. It was difficult, it was rough. Ah, if anything, for the flamingo, I guess instead of just going with my gut instinct and just saying it's either Tia or Tamara, because I think I pronounced it wrong on the video. I think I called one of the girls from Sister Sister Tina by accident. Tia and Tamara. I apologize for saying that wrong. The girls from Sister Sister. I'm assuming it's still them. One of the gals underneath that mask. But I think, especially with McCarthy, had to throw in a name that people from the internet are throwing out, because heaven forbid she gets an original opinion. Uh, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the way that she like deciphers things. Anyone getting any kind of information from anywhere, even if it's just from Robert Thicke, a lot of the times, or Robin Thicke, Robert Thicke, the Thick Man. He had a great solo career. Yeah, or a great, like, he had a single "Get You Alone" that was awesome. I really enjoyed that, and then he had some music after that that was just, yeah, it was interesting. But there is a buzz going around in the internet that the flamingo might be Adrian Baylor, if I pronounce that correctly. I guess at this point I have to throw this in there to say that it could quite possibly be Baylor, because everybody's talking about it. Even I talked about it on the other episode that it could quite possibly be this person. So it's kind of undeniable at this point that if everybody's if the even the people on the show are bringing it up that it could quite possibly be her, then at the end of the day, you just have to put it out there and just say sure. But so I'll have two guesses for the flamingo. I'm not narrowing it down, evidently. I'm just kind of broadening. I'm like, it seems like every episode I'm like wadding my like search or my ideas of who these people are instead of narrowing it down to people. Um, for the leopard, I bizarrely still think it's Seal. If anything, I'm also thinking it could quite possibly still be the actor known as Leon, of course, who had played in the Behind the Music movie The Temptations and stuff like that. But I can't help but think that, like, Seal or whoever this ends up being is a master at just kind of forwarding away. Like, God, this character has is a master at just thwarting everyone and just kind of leaving all these things like just kind of masterfully crafting just some kind of like thing where you're expecting something and he's throwing shade at you. Even the person who was a skeleton was just like, oh well, if people assume it's all like Martin Short, then that's who I'm gonna be. If that legitimately is Martin Short, um, And it was. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Could have been. I don't know. Until the end of the show. But it could be Martin Short. Yeah, it could be. Could be Martin Short. It could. It could be Martin Short. I keep saying Martin Short, confirming to people, but maybe not. Yes, no, anything. I just have this seething suspicion that it's Seal for some bizarre reason. I've kind of faded away with Leon. I've kind of faded away with Hadaway, which is the guy that did the song "What Is Love, Baby Don't Hurt Me, Don't Hurt Me No More" from the Night of the Roxbury. If you guys remember that, that was kind of the theme song of that SNL skit. But then on top of that, they did a Night of the Roxbury movie. Um, those were the kind of two contenders, but I don't know. I'm kind of cementing bizarrely enough that it could be Seal. Some people are saying RuPaul. I think a lot of people are just really desperately looking for a feminine male. And I'm just like, well, what if it's just this person really trying in desperation to throw you off the scent? Because this person is a master at throwing people off the scent. Like, even, straight out of the gate, the first, people that thought that this was originally the leopard, or, people thought it was Kim Kardashian. Like, man, if Seal looks like Kim Kardashian, then dang, what a good job you're doing, Seal. But I guess I'm just gonna have to cement now that it might be Seal. I'm probably way off. I probably sure I am. Because it could be any number of people. Still, it could be honestly. Even though the clues, I kind of completely ignored the clues. Some of it was mentioning TV and stuff like that, and I was just kind of a lot of these clues are just so throwing people off. And if you think about it, Seal has done music for movies. So when you look at Kiss from a Rose, Batman and Batman Forever, it makes sense to just kind of said that he's kind of at some capacity every once in a while maybe done music for movies. So yeah, I don't know. So let's move on. The Black Widow. I'm bizarrely still thinking it's Yvette Brown from Community, but I'm also kind of leaning, bizarrely enough, to Kelly Clarkson. Bizarrely enough. You want to know why? Because I think she might be on the show to promote, maybe quite possibly, her own show that is going on. Because if anything, she wasn't promoting it enough on YouTube, telling people to subscribe to her channel on top of other channels that are also trying to ask people to subscribe to their channel instead of a Kelly Clarkson channel. But it is what it is. Um, and by the way, you guys can also donate to the channel in the link in the description. Shameless plug, I know. But you can donate $1, a dime, you can donate any time. There's no tier system, there's no holding any content hostage. At the end of the day, how could I hold any content hostage? So, with the Black Widow singing tonight, there was nothing really at all that could narrow this character down more. Uh I guess kind of Kelly Clarkson was kind of a random guess. With a lot of the times where she did reference movies and stuff like that. I can't help but also think that Kelly Clarkson has been on sitcoms. She's been on a movie at some point with the guy who actually. She was in a movie with the guy who was second place in American Idol. Them two did a movie together, and I think they were supposedly some kind of love interest or something like that. It was a long time ago in a movie far, far away in my mind. Um, but I know probably Kelly Clarkson has probably done some kind of, like, she was in Reba. She was on the sitcom Reba, and sure enough, eventually, Kelly Clarkson married into Reba's family. Funny enough. So, anyways, um, with this, these are both just the shottiest shots in the dark you could have ever shot in your life. But I don't know. This could be another person. If anything, if people have guesses who the Black Widow could be, how we could narrow this down a little bit better, and would probably make much more sense. For any of these people that you might guess who they are, mention it down below. Um, Try to not give spoilers of who ultimately gets unmasked in this season, or if you want you can spoil the first season, but kind of mention who you think is quite possibly any of these characters that hasn't got unmasked yet, or if you were right on the assumption of who the skeleton was when he was unmasked. um or maybe you could say that you were wrong on the assumption. Maybe you were shotting in the dark. Like maybe you go with the judge's decisions all the time. Maybe you don't have an original thought in your mind, which is completely a-okay, 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 a-okay. Um, because if anything, yeah, there's a lot of times where I go with the judge's decisions because I'm like, this is just a shot in the dark. This is just a out of there, and I'm just like hoping the best for whatever. Again, we're still kind of hearing the voice of this person, not hearing any clues or anything like that. I would still forcibly have to say that this person sounds um like Katy Perry or Carrie Underwood. But I don't know if they legitimately like, I don't know if Carrie Underwood would legitimately, like, I know for the Lion, I know a lot of people for last year, people were like, man, she sounds like Carrie Underwood, or I was thinking like Christina Aguilera, like that actually made sense. Um, but I don't know, it's kind of bizarre. I don't think we legitimately have any like football guys this year for the show. So maybe Carrie Underwood being tied in with the NFL, maybe she's on the show. That would be cool, but I just don't know. I think we probably have enough American Idol people on here already to have Carrie Underwood. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But Kelly Clarkson might be promoting her own show on here, so that's why she's on here. I don't know. But Yvette Brown, um, yeah, could be a shot in the dark, but it is what it is. Ken's pick, honestly, that's kind of what I'm going for. It's a shot in the dark. It's a shot in the dark. Butterfly, I'm still going with Fantasia. I'm still hoping for Fantasia. People keep bringing her up every time the butterfly sings, that it could quite possibly be Fantasia, and I still cannot like not say that it's not Fantasia. I could be way off. It could be somebody else. It could be somebody that sings really well, like Fantasia or something like that. But I don't know. I think we got some American Idol people in this season, so I think that's just what it is. If we're gonna get Ruben Studdard coming in this season by somebody, who knows? But yeah, maybe yeah, maybe we'll have Clay Aiken come in one season or something. I don't know, but I'm thinking that it's wouldn't it be just weird if it was like a person that you wouldn't think at all because of just the sound of their voice sounds like somebody, and you're like, maybe it's Clay Aiken. It's not Clay Aiken or something, like it would just be weird. But I'm cementing now that it is Fantasia. I'm cementing that it's Fantasia. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I can't think of anybody else it would be legitimately. and I don't want to change my guesses too frequently on too many people. Thingamajig! Thingamajig. After we go into Thingamajig, we are going to be revealing who is the skeleton. So if you guys don't want to get spoiled on who this episode is, I'm going to give you a double 5, and then we're going to mask the skeleton. And then after that, I'm going to do the recap of what's been going on throughout the entire show. So if you missed an episode, if you don't want to know what's going on throughout the entire season, and you just want to know who got unmasked tonight, then definitely you can stay as long as you want to, but I'll give you a double 5 count if you want to avoid something. For the thingamajig, I don't know. Michael Strahan. I just keep going back to this. I think it could be Michael Strahan. You had some of the football guys doing like Terry Bradshaw did it in the first season. So I don't know, I was just kind of thinking maybe it's Michael Strahan this season. But then, like I was also thinking, and like they reassessed it kind of tonight. Like I was thinking maybe a popular basketball player like LeBron James. In the first like pilot episode or whatever, I was thinking, yeah, maybe it's LeBron James. And then someone even brought it up on the show that it could be legitimately LeBron James. I'm like, well, yeah, because he's got like the body type and the costume. Like, you never know. But for some reason, a lot of people are assuming that it's Howie Long. And I'm like, Howie Long? I don't know. If anything, I guess, bizarrely enough, I guess we should confirm these things with some of these celebrities where they're gonna sit down and finally tell the world I'm not thingamajig, just so you know. Uh, Maybe I'll just ask, I'll just Facebook random celebrities and just say, hey, are you thingamajig? I want to know. Have you been watching The Masked Singer? Are you the penguin? But yeah, I still have no clue who probably the penguin probably still is, but we'll probably figure that out as we go along. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of rethinking that it might be bizarrely enough, it might be LeBron James. Somebody talked about it and they're like, yeah, it could be LeBron James. I'm like, man, that's what I was thinking. Like I was thinking it was a popular basketball player, and like I couldn't help but think it was LeBron James for some bizarre reason. Like I couldn't help but just like I was maybe thinking Kobe Bryant, and maybe he's trying to promote his like podcast show, but then I was also thinking like, well, maybe it's LeBron James. But I was also thinking it was Michael Strahan, but he might be really busy. I don't know. So I'm probably either thinking maybe Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, but Michael Strahan, God, why do I have to unnarrow these down? I have to blow it out instead of narrow it down, but it is what it is. So, if you guys do not want to know who the skeleton is, you maybe haven't watched the show yet, or maybe you just want to theorize while the show is going on what I felt and what have you. How long have I been recording for this? Good, it's only 30 minutes. That's great. So if you guys don't want to know who the skeleton is, it'd probably be a good time to turn off now. Or if you maybe already know because you watched the show. But then I'm also gonna give my final thoughts on who ended up getting unmasked as a skeleton and whether I was wrong or right. Sadly enough. Sadly enough. Or we are also going to do a whole entire recap of what's been going on in the season, just in case you've been watching every single episode and want to like kind of bask in all what happened and whatever and what have you. You can do that too. Just stay along with me. Whenever you want to drop off is whenever you want to drop off. But now, double 5 time, double 5 time. Spoilers coming at you hot and delicious. I have told you what I thought these characters were. If you don't want to know who was unmasked and who was shown tonight, you should probably click off now. But if you saw the show and you're here with me, or maybe you just don't care, you just want to see who it is regardless, now is the time. Paul Shaffer. Grammy-winning SNL comedian and Letterman sidekick. In the back of my mind, and here is where I can justify this. Because I got this right. Because this was a last second ditch effort before he unmasked. I was like, Paul Shaffer. And here's where I made this last second ditch effort. Because in the back of my mind, in the pilot, I was thinking it could be Letterman's sidekick. But I don't know his name, and I don't know the research on the character, on the person. But then in the show, while people were talking, they were bringing up Paul Shaffer. And I was just like, yeah, like that's what I was thinking in the pilot, but then I was thinking, well, like maybe Paul's retired, maybe he's just kind of, yeah. And but I was like, well, yeah, like Paul freaking like was awesome on the Letterman show. Like when I would catch that show, like I really enjoyed the music that he was bringing to the show. If anything, he really sang really well. And he was bringing some interesting music to this show, much more so than maybe some other people were, because he had done so many arrangements on the show that, like, how could you really come up with something different to bring to the table? But yeah, Paul honestly was a last second ditch effort guess because, like, I was kind of in the back of my mind in the pilot episode thinking it might have been him. And I don't know how that kind of brain noggin got in there. But, like, strangely enough, I just kept going with Martin Short because SNL. Because I didn't know legitimately 100% that Paul Shaffer was an SNL comedian, because I wasn't really aware of, like, I didn't go on Paul Shaffer's IMDb and check if he was an SNL person or not or whatever, or I didn't really IMDb the Letterman show. But when people kept bringing it up in this episode, I'm like, I couldn't deny that this feels right. In the back of my mind, I was thinking that this person could quite possibly be this character. Like, I was speculating, and I was like, SNL characters, I don't know, but it does kind of, like, bring up that it does feel, and I was so sure about Martin Short. I was so, like, sure, but also in the back of my mind, I was second guessing everything that I was doing because I wasn't sure. I was thinking, like, God, there's gotta be something that feels much more so like Paul in this episode. Like, especially when somebody brought it up, I'm like, oh, like I wasn't aware of Paul Shaffer's name. I wasn't aware of I was aware back in my mind, back in the head of my mind, that, like, this seemed like a good choice. It sounded like him, but all this stuff kept representing SNL, and I'm just like, huh? It just kept coming up SNL stuff. But, like, when somebody mentioned Paul Shaffer, I just couldn't deny it at that point. I just couldn't deny it. It's undeniable. It's like, well, hey, they brought it up. F it, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring it up. And luckily, at the last second, when Paul Shaffer unmasked, I was like, oh, thank God. Thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. Because, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe this sounds like the David Letterman psych. I remember, like, telling, like, my parents when I was watching the show with them, it's like, nah, maybe it's the David Letterman sidekick. Sounds like it. But they kept referencing SNL stuff, so I'm forced to just, like, 'cause the clues this season are garbage. The clues this season are utter garbage. But yeah, it's just like, and they kind of swerve you too, like that one with the Three Amigos thing. I'm like, huh? Three Amigos? It's Martin Short. But then when people mentioned Paul Schaefer, I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking in the back of my mind in the pilot. And even he was trying to swerve people to be more like Martin Short, so that way they would think that it's Martin Short. But ultimately, it's Paul Schaefer. Uh, but yeah, this was a really cool reveal. If anything, Paul had done so much with music, and why not do a little bit more on the show? Um, yeah, this is a cool little thing. Like it was just kind of like, man, when people were bringing it up on the show, it was just like, yeah, I feel good about this guest now, because in the back of my mind I was like, no, there's never in a million years. But then like people brought it up in the show. I'm like, and it just kind of reconfirmed to me that it's like, maybe my guess is right. Maybe my guess isn't out of the ballpark of guesses. Because when you look at it, like all the guesses for this season are just shots in the dark. So yeah, when people mention it, kind of reaffirmed what I thought. And then I just went with it. I just went with it. I just forcibly had to go with it. And so, yeah, put one on the scoreboard for me, I guess, finally. Well, technically two, but there's still a big loss column. There's still a big loss column on this one. And yeah, it's great. It's great seeing these characters unmasked, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of talent behind that mask. There's a lot of talent, a lot of great talent behind that mask. So, Paul Schaefer, Letter Letterman's David Letterman's sidekick, but an Grammy-winning SNL comedian. Sure enough. So yeah, now after we see freaking Paul Schaefer on the show, who would have thought? Who would have thought? I did. In the back of my mind, but as soon as people were like, Paul Schaefer, I'm like, yeah. I thought this was kind of out of the realm, but they put it into the realm, and I went with it. I took the ball and I ran with that when people were confirming what I was thinking. Bizarrely enough, so yeah, I felt good about this because like this was much more so shot in the dark than Layla Ali was. And then there was no other way any of the other people I could get right at all. There's no way. Like even with the clues, it yeah. So double five now for the recap of the show, talking about overall what I felt about the show overall so far. Again, as per usual, stacked show. Just talent, just up the gills. So recap. There's a recap going on now. If you want to know how I feel about this season, what a show. All right. So of course, on the list here we have everybody unmasked so far in the show. If you guys don't know or just want to see the recap regardless, the Eagle on the last episode was unmasked as Dr. Drew. Which, if anything, Dr. Drew sounded really good. It was really good. And of course, I've kind of gone on and on about, especially Ice Cream, which was Ninja. an egg, which was Johnny Weir, which they had some really good music. Again, I like Ninja's Devo. That was pretty awesome. I enjoyed that. Um, I really enjoyed Eggs, Lady Gaga. That was pretty funny. I really enjoyed that. And then I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, like I know like Johnny, like of course Lady Gaga. It makes sense. Looking back on it now, I'm like, yeah, I knew like he was probably gonna pick a Lady Gaga song. From kind of what little that I've seen from his commentary and what have you. Leia Ali, of course, was unmasked as the panda, um, which I had gotten right. So, 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5 so far. Not even 50%ing it yet. But there's so many people to still unmask. There's so many things that I might actually legitimately be right for once on. And there is a lot of characters that I'm kind of really getting narrowing it down and cementing who I think certain characters are. And forcibly, I just want to kind of like, because probably in the getting goings, I probably just kind of want to like just say like it could be this person, it could be this person, and then just narrow it down. Legitimately, probably overall, kind of re-cementing some stuff. I think Thingamajig might be LeBron James. I think it might be Michael Strahan. I think the Penguin still might be Raven Simone of all people, even though somebody guessed Raven Simone as the Flamingo. I think Kathy Griffin is still the tree. I think Jamie Foxx is the fox, bizarrely enough. I think Black Widow is who I said on the show. I think Butterfly is who I said on this episode. The flower, I'm kind of much more leaning towards Patty the Bell. I'm much more so than Tina Turner. Because I just think like Tina Turner can just do any concert and it'll sell and whatever. But I think Patty can still do that as well because she's very talented. She's very talented. I'm just kind of leaning towards Patty LaBelle, bizarrely. I just gotta forcibly go that route because everybody deserves a win. Everybody deserves a win, so I think it might be Patty LaBelle for the win, I guess. Anybody else? Ladybug, I'm still assuming is Marie Osmond. Rottweiler, I'm still assuming it's Daltrey. And the leopard, I'm still assuming it's Seal. I'm still assuming. We can only hope that I'm really and drastically wrong. And then the skeleton, of course, was unmasked tonight as Paul Schaefer. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people could naturally assume that I rigged this, that I chose the right people on purpose or whatever. Like if I honestly could have done that, then I could have done that for everyone and got every single one of these right. If anything, 2 out of 5 really is like I haven't been getting most of them right. I've been kind of shooting in the dark, shooting blanks in the dark, hoping for the best. Um, so yeah, because I would have never guessed that it would have been Ninja. I would have never guessed Ninja. Um, because at the end of the day, like I didn't think YouTubers or streaming people were important enough to be placed on the show. But I think we're really we as YouTubers and streamers or whatever are really breaking new ground because of course you have a bunch of media that are trying to use YouTube and or Mixer or Twitch or whatever platform anybody's on that has some huge buzz to like anybody who's got cloud anywhere, like let's bring them in. Like a lot of people are using like YouTube as kind of a jumping off point to get people to see a movie or get people to watch something, or get people to dot to dot 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 dot. People are using YouTubers a lot more in normal media right now. If somebody knows what they're effing talking about, when it comes down to movies or comes down to whatever, they will be used for other mediums just besides being on YouTube. But yeah, so far I've kind of like am getting narrowing it down, getting closer to eventually just blowing off the cover of who all these people are. I hope that at the end of the season I get more right instead of wrong. Because in the first season I got more right than I did wrong. So I'm just kind of hoping for a banner year. I never really reviewed the first season on here. Um, but looking back on it, if like I don't remember, yeah, I think I was just casually watching the show, and when I was doing that, like now I'm actually just actually legitimately watching the show, and then actually talking about it. When before it just came a casual thing. But anyways, this is probably just all talking about me and stuff like that, and how I would watch the show and how I would think about the show and whatever. But this is a really good season. The first season it was kind of predictable. You could kind of easily tell who the people were. And now they're throwing so many monkey wrenches. They're throwing so many things at you that you wouldn't know, which is great. Makes for a better season, but then it also gives you like, come on, like, come on, like the clues, like you basically can take them for what they are, take them for a huge grain of salt. You can give people clues, and like the clues most of the time in the first season, like you couldn't really come up with who the person is through the clues. Like in this season, they're really just throwing wild cards out there that mean nothing for clues, and it just seems kind of irritating. Especially if this person is going to be hard to pick out of a crowd, anyways, because maybe they're ninja. If anything, it's like, yeah, there's some fighting clues in Ninja's thing, but I couldn't help but also just be like, what? Like I would have had to have watched this like clue thing like over and over and over and over and over again to get those clues. I would have to like stop and like and pause it at a certain time, just like and then play it again. Like the clues are so minute and so tiny that you would have to watch the thing over and just kind of and just like pause every 5 seconds while the person is either performing or while the clues are going on. You'd have to pause it and just like, It's super hard in this, and if you're not like 100% familiar with these people, like then you can easily get them out of a crowd. But like Ninja, like he's popular on YouTube, yeah, because he's a Fortnite player. But do I know everything about Ninja? No, I just know he's a really popular Fortnite player, and he like I saw him on Jimmy Fallon, and yeah, and I saw him in certain meet like Johnny Weir. I saw him like one time, just doing and announcing for figure skating and stuff like that. He sounded like a really cool guy, and he was like really fun to commentate with the people that he was commentating with. Um, Leia Lee, I watched most of Celebrity Apprentice when she had that season, and eventually when she got eliminated, sadly enough. Dr. Drew just kind of like for me, like I had seen Dr. Drew stuff, but that was so just in the like way far back encyclopedia of my mind to just remember like, oh yeah, Dr. Drew, because like I remember him in Celebrity Rehab or when he would talk about like love topics on MTV, but that was just that was a long time ago for me because I got to a point where I had like the bare basics of basic cable, and whatever I could see was just like a couple episodes of real TV, and then a bulk of it's all just kind of like old fashioned kind of TV and whatever. Because I just have the bare bones of what's TV. I don't have any huge package to. Maybe I do have a huge package. Uh, but um, but yeah, I have my yeah, stupid joke, but it's there. So yeah, recapping my small package of information. Yeah, this is kind of what I felt about all these characters, and at the end of the day, hopefully I'm mostly correct. But I think I've kind of narrowed it down so much to where it's obvious. I think that it might be these people, but then when they get unmasked, I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna be heartbroken. So yeah, that's how the season's gonna go. You never know. So I'm gonna get out of here so that we can record more. Thank you guys for watching this. If you hung on to the last minute or what have you. So goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.